faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey, everyone, it's Walter. I'm on the air. I actually was waiting, maybe my friend Matt might call in. He's actually down in Kentucky right now, if I remember correctly. So I'm not sure if he's going to call or not. If so, that'd be cool. I had to do a makeshift thing. My phone is pretty much almost dead. I didn't realize until now. So unfortunately, that can be kind of a problem. I'm going to have to do it through my cell phone directly and put in the mic. Normally I put it through an external speaker, but that's not going to happen tonight. So if he calls, Matt, if you call, that'd be great. If not, then oh well. We'll get you some other time. Anyway, first off, because this would pertain to Matt too, I didn't think I was going to be able to buy him a ticket, but looks like I will be able to, because I sold a bunch of old games off. I bought the games old to begin with, and I never played them. It was like, yeah, they're just basically collecting a lot of dust and taking up too much room in a small living quarters I have right now. So I said, forget it. I'll just get rid of them, and I'll, soak up the cost, so to speak. So I got like over $100 for that, and I'm going to use that money to go to on September 2nd. I would hate to admit to this, but I bought my ticket ahead of time, but I didn't want to waste money. My friend Matt said, "Oh, can you buy me a ticket too?" And it was like, well, maybe in a couple weeks, because, I just basically went on a whim, buy my ticket because a friend, Todd, told me about it. He sent me a link on Facebook. And I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but it's called the Italian All-Night Splatterfest 6 now. I think it is. Is it 6 or 4? Me and Matt had gone to every Splatterfest. By the way, it's at the Colonial Theater if I haven't mentioned it yet. And if I also hadn't mentioned it, it's pretty funny, but it is Sunday, July 9th at 9 o'clock. How could I do that? 2 9s, 2 upside down 6s probably, for all I know. So anyway, the Splatterfest is September 2nd, and I told Matt, I texted him, he did not get back to me. I said, dude, I'm going to get you your ticket after all. So, but I was waiting for him to call, and I could do it live just to make sure I got that correctly. I don't want to buy him a ticket until he says, yeah, buy me the ticket, because I'm not going to waste my money. And I really don't have too much. I'm still paying off a little bit, a couple bills here and there. Anyway, me and Matt had gone to every Splatterfest so far except the very first one. We missed the first one. And what they do is they show these old Italian films, obviously, and some other types of movies, mostly Italian. And they're like 70s bad horror films, generally. But we just made it a tradition, me and Matt, for like many years now, before this even happened, to go to different horror fests. Like, we went to one that was 12 hours, not this one. This one's usually not that long. But we went to one or two in Philly. I think it was just one, though. And it was 12 hours, and it was crazy. So they now make some horror fests that are old horror films for, I think, up to 24 hours. And it was like, yeah, we're not going to be able to do that. I barely can survive the first couple movies. We went to an exploitation fest. That was the 12-hour one, and I was already sound asleep practically after the first film started, so it was really bad. Matt made it through it. I'm just really horrible at these long, horror fests and marathons of old bad movies. Which meant, mentioning that, I don't know if I had mentioned this before I did my last podcast, but this past Friday I actually did go to something over. Oh, okay, I thought I heard the door. Over in the Keswick, and it was for Mystery Science 3000. Now, the funny thing is, the only thing I know about Mystery Science 3000 is the brand new show that just got picked up. So I have no clue who the guy who invented the show was. I had no clue of anyone else except the people from the new cast they had, brought aboard for the new season that was on Netflix. So that's what I was going by. So the only person I knew there was this new guy. The character's name's Joel, which is weird because you see the guy on Netflix on the episodes. He's the guy who hosts whatever in the jumpsuit. It was Red before, Red's jumpsuit, whoever that guy was. Now it's a guy in the yellow jumpsuit. Anyway, the guy kind of looked normal height and really kind of like chunky. Not that it's important, but I saw the guy. The guy's like 7 foot tall, and he's like really thin. So there's that joke about adding weight to an actor on screen. Well, it really does it for him because he's actually looks not completely, but he looks a lot different. The actor who plays this character on Mystery Science 3000. Like, he's the captured person who has to watch these bad films by these, by these villains or whatever. The thing is kind of, I never really liked Mystery Science 3000. My friend Matt, I think, and his father used to watch it. Maybe it was his dad. I never could get into it. I still kind of cannot. But, again, the new series I really did like. I actually watched the whole thing. It was only 12 episodes. So I kind of learned a little bit of history from these other people who are die-hard fans of this show, of these bad movies. And, I mean, these are, like, really die-hard fans. So that was pretty cool. But here I met a guy, without even realizing, the guy who invented or created the show, the co-creator, the guy who actually makes Mystery Science 3000. I met the guy, and I was like, okay, who are you? So I was a little bit embarrassed by that, but then I saw from people saying that, yeah, diehard fans for the longest time were trying to bring the show back. So they had a Kickstarter, and I don't think it was that successful, but a lot of people did donate quite a bit of money. Wasn't enough for what they needed. Apparently, for even a show like Mystery Science, which is a low-budget show, I don't know if it started on PBS or where it did, but it lasted for quite a few years, and then they finally canceled it, and then they brought it back on Netflix. But the Kickstarter thing said for, I think, 1 or 2 episodes, it cost about $2 million. And I even tried to say to a friend, I said, I think the reason that is, even with bad movies, yeah, you can buy them for like 50 cents or $1. But to air those publicly and get the royalty rights, so to speak, yeah, then that costs quite a bit of money. Probably does cost about that much, about $1 million or $2 million. I don't know, because you're buying like the rights then. Anyway, I just got a text from, not from Matt though, because I'm doing a live cast, and I'm waiting for Matt if he does get this. So, yeah, they said for a whole season, which would be on Mystery Science 3000, 12 episodes, it cost actually cheaper, even though it's more money, it rounds out to be cheaper, because to do 1 or 2 episodes costs about 2 million episodes, because you got to get the airtime, you got to pay certain people. Apparently, for Mystery Science 3000, they're paying everything, even though it's like probably on a commercial setup. So, I don't know. They're not actually gaining that much money, so they need all the money up front practically. And I think it was aired on the commercial station, but I guess just to get it launched again, to do a whole season would cost about $4 million, I think is what they were trying to get, on Kickstarter. They did not get anything close to that, obviously. It's really impossible, get that much off of a fan base. So, luckily, though, for the people who created this show and the new actors they got, and also for many other reasons, the fans made out good because Netflix picked it up. They probably picked it up because I'm sure for them, $4 million is not that much, because you got a whole season and you got so many X amount of subscribers. They're probably, it's probably not that much. And they actually, the guy, I forget his name. I'm gonna have to. I didn't actually put that in my mix. From Mystery Science 3000 said that they did get picked up for another season. So I'm actually, and they said it's going to be completely different. So I'm trying to type this in right now. Let's see, Mystery Science 3000. But yeah, they said it's going to be completely different. I actually try to watch some of the older ones. They're kind of funny, but I just don't understand them. Quite honestly, I like the new series much better. The Netflix one. So it looks like it's going to continue. Keep on thinking I'm hearing somebody. Trying to look for the guy who I had seen and did not recognize him, or didn't even know who he was, actually. Well, actually, one of the reasons also I watched the new show, too, was because I'm a big fan. I had a Love Jones. I'm going to get her name wrong. I tried to mention to somebody and didn't hear back. This guy because I'm looking, it's mostly all guys on this show, is this woman named Felicia, or is it Felicia or Felicity Day? She was best known from back when she did this sing-along, Dr. Horrible sing-along, from Josh Whedon. Josh Whedon did a miniseries on the internet, and it was a musical miniseries, and it was actually really good, and that's the first time I saw Felicity. I'm just going to say Felicity Day. That's the first time I saw her, and I fell in love with her. So I was hoping she was going to be at this tour. She was not. Let me see if I can put in the Kickstarter, because it's still up. You can still make donations. It's kind of weird. I think it's kind of unnecessary now, but they're still taking donations and stuff. So it was called Bring Back Mystery Science 3000. It's still here. I'm looking at it right now. I thought I actually put it on my Facebook page. If not, I am going to do it now. It says $600,000 raised, so they almost got $1 million. It was not even close to $1 million. 114% funded. So, that part was good. I was actually considering maybe like funding, because I really like the show, but at this point, I don't think it's necessary. And I hate to say it, now that they're touring. Originally, this was, I think, from Minneapolis. I'm sure it's picking up the tab. Updates 58. So, this campaign is still going on. It's pretty funny. As I call her Felicity Day, I actually wanted to see her. She was not there. But this guy, what was his name now? I think for the show, I don't know if that's his real name, Joel. I saw it somewhere. Who plays the new main character. He was there, and I was actually glad to see him, though. Yeah, I don't see Jonah Ray. Okay, the guy I think who's on the new Mystery Science 3000 cast Jonah Ray. I actually like Jonah Ray. He looks very different in person. Slightly looks different in person. The main thing is he's really tall, and he's not as heavy as he looks on the set. That has nothing to do with anything. Give me a minute just to put this on my Facebook page. So in case, somebody actually checks out my Facebook, they may see it. I actually should put it on iWalter as well, so I'm going to do that. I hope I didn't lose all my other stories. I did line up a bunch of stories. My main one basically being, about, hey, I got a ticket. Now I'm going to get another ticket because I have money in my pocket to do so, for my friend Matt. But yeah, I did go to Mystery Science 3000 tour down in where was that again? I said at the Keswick, which I'm not actually sure where that's located. So that was really fun. But what I was going to say about that, and I'll leave that go, is I think between this touring they're doing right now and what they charge for everything, because they did have T-shirt sales and some merchandise sales for, the Mystery Science Tour. That money, the way I understand, anything that is, T-shirt sales, I thought they get 100% of that as profit for, if it's a musical act, they get 100% of that is what I understood. So I'm assuming it's the same thing for Mystery Science 3000. Plus, they're charging a decent fee to go see them. They actually added a second show that night, which was completely different. I just didn't want to stick around. It wasn't that late. The first one was from 9 to 9:30. The second show was from 10 until whenever. So I would have stuck around. I just really didn't have... Sorry, I didn't want to spend any more money. They were trying to get to, it says here, I'm looking at it now, if they would have gotten to close to $6 million, they would have had 13 new episodes. But instead, like I said, which was great for Mystery Science 3000, they were fortunate enough that, picked it up, Netflix. And I think Netflix is really trying to become like an internet, so to speak, network. So that's kind of cool. I wish I had more information, by the way, on the Colonial Theater Splatterfest, because I'm not really sure of what kind of films they're going to be showing. Because I'm looking at it now, I'm trying to see, but I'm not seeing anything on that. So, So, the best I can tell you at this point, they're obviously going to be Italian films, but that's about all I can go. I'm keeping an eye on my phone. I have not seen Matt call me, so sorry about that, Matt. I guess you're not going to, call him. Would have been cool. I set it up for you, dude, but you let me down. I'm giving you a hard time, in case you listen to this, especially since you left me for another state of Kentucky, so, I'm not happy. I knew about this for a long time. I'm just giving her a hard time in general. Hey, this was really cool because I'll just go through my stories. I did have something I wanted to mention on politics. This is my feel. First off, though, on one of my stories this is pretty cool. Somebody posted the other week, on this day 42 years ago, Jaws was released in in the movie theaters. So it's been 42 years ago. Isn't that unbelievable? I gotta like that page. I didn't even know I didn't. It was on Facebook, but somebody posted, not me. One of my things that's a big deal to me, I'm hearing it because I'm a big Rush Limbaugh fan. I actually, by the way, I've always liked Bill O'Reilly, and it kind of did piss me off a little bit. But, the whole thing about Mystery Science 3000, going back to that, is to bust on people. And I was hoping they wouldn't go towards the political realm, but they kind of almost did that, so to speak. Not directly against Trump, because everybody else has jumped on that bandwagon, but they did pick on Bill O'Reilly, of all people. They made a little subtle comment, the robots, quote-unquote, did. And that kind of pissed me off. It's I love the new show, but then you had to throw this little remark on Bill O'Reilly. It's now he's the one they got to throw under the bus. And no offense, but I listened to his shows lately because I purchased a whole season for $50. He's going to try to start a television internet series as well. I really don't care about that. I'd rather just listen to him voice wise. So I listen to him in my car and things like that. Anyway, I forget exactly what the remark, but it was definitely a niche jab in the side towards Bill O'Reilly. But Bill O'Reilly is a libertarian, so to speak. He's an independent, I guess would be the best way to put it. Because they're two different things, I know. But I don't know which word he used. But yeah, he is, so he's on your side. So now you're busting people on your side because the guy doesn't take sides. But, he does so to speak, he does like Trump, and he's got more conservative ways, but he's an independent. He doesn't believe in either party, but yet you pick on him anyway. So that's kind of weird. I know it was something about that sex scandal or whatever with these women that got him fired from Fox. They had to throw a dig, but they were throwing digs at other people. I just did not appreciate it. I didn't make a big deal out of it, but they did throw that. By the way, Mystery Science 3000, I forgot about one thing. Maybe you are familiar with this. I'm not going to even look up his name. They showed this old movie called Orlok or something like that. Well, the main actor, he was a teenager at the time, was the same guy who played in the James Bond with Sir Roger Moore, and he was the character of Jaws. Jaws was in more than one movie. I think the first one was Moonraker, but the character of Jaws was actually in another film as well. That actor is dead because he actually, in this Orloff, or whatever you say, this movie that Mystery Science 3000 had shown, it was remastered, and they even made jokes about it. It's like, yeah, a remastered shitty movie. But that guy in real life was, because that's how he got typecasted, or was typecasted, because he was a giant. I mean, he was one of these people who had that disease. That he was huge. He was very tall. And, generally people like that don't live a very long life. I think he died at 78, not the year, but the age of 78, something like that. So he lived a fairly good long life, but generally that's not the truth for a lot of people who have that kind of disease. So, yeah, it was kind of weird to see him. It was like, wow, that's that guy who plays Jaws in Moonraker. So I was interested for that fact. The movie was horrendous. The jokes were okay. I wasn't laughing as hard as some of these diehard fans are, but I kind of laughed a little bit, I guess. Sorry about that. I do want to go into real quick, too, but I'm not right this minute because I'm kind of jumping around. Was the Spider-Man movie, which I did not like that much. In fact, I thought it was pretty bad. I actually liked the ones from Sam Raimi much better, but I'll go into that in a minute. I got to finish this thought out first, the other one I had in my mind, and that one actually was, I'm hearing on like Rush Limbaugh, and what do you call it? Kind of did he took the same twist, but a little bit different. Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly actually acknowledged, admitted that Rush Limbaugh is like the number one, radio personality for the right, as far as a talk radio host and period. He said he's he even said that he's number one. That's who I listen to. But I like a little bit of variety. And that is a little bit like one extreme to the other, because O'Reilly's points might be slightly different, but he actually uses Rush's as a news source. So that's pretty interesting, if I remember correctly. Anyway, Rush was saying, and I actually did write some place, and I can't find it now. I wrote an email, which I don't have in front of me right now because I'd have to pull that up if I can. I just don't want to destroy it because everything now is online. My emails I get directly online from AOL because my account was with Verizon. I no longer have that. They sold out, so to speak. Not, in a bad way. They just sold out. Okay, I actually wrote to this place called Truth Meter or Truth-O-Meter, and they might be, if Matt hears that, he's going to probably say, Walter, they're a left liberal news source. It's like, yeah, but you know what? Maybe that's what I'm looking for, honestly, because not my intentions are, I want to hear, if they're going to pull any trash out about Trump, they will. So, if they are truly like a left side thing. So, if they can't pull any trash, because it's supposed to be a web link, by the way, it pulls the truth out of stories. So, they're not supposed to, even though a lot of these news sources do, they're not supposed to take either side. They're supposed to find the truth in the matter in stories, which this website was basically set up for all the fake news out there. So I'm hoping this is true. I'm going to take it that they are going to find what I'm looking for. Now, the thing is I have a hard time with, which I have an issue with Rush once in a while. I usually don't, but I do have an issue when he kind of won't see, if he tries to keep it towards the right on topics. Meaning that, okay, if it's not true that the right has made grave strides in the direction I want to see the country go in, he will kind of I think, I'm not saying this is true, but it seems like he will kind of sugarcoat the stories to make sure that they go in that direction. And I'm not that type of way. Hey, you know what? If the right is wrong at something, I won't have any problem of saying, listen, I don't agree with this. If I don't agree with something they're saying on the right, I don't have any problem. I'm not one of these people like, okay, I'm like the left does, where no matter if they're right or wrong, they're always right. And I'm not that way. I'm a right, right-wing conservative person, and just because of that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with them 100% of the time. And if it's listening to a conservative radio host, I'm not going to agree with them 100% of the time. So this is one of these issues, and it just like gets under my fingernails, like bamboo under your fingernails. Like I'm being tortured by this subject, and I don't agree. So I had to look for somebody who like finds dirt to find a story wrong. Now, I haven't mentioned it yet. I realized that. So the story is, Rush said, I think it was on Friday's show or Thursday's. I think it was Friday. He said that the unemployment rate under Trump is now down to 4%. And I heard this, actually, I did hear this the other day on Rush's show, Rush Limbaugh's. And I was like, okay, I kind of don't believe this because, there was this whole slew of people under Obama who were excluded from the workforce as even looking for a job because they stopped looking altogether. So they were excluded. So then I listened to the show on Rush's on Friday, and he basically almost like read my mind. It felt like, I know he didn't, but I'm just saying, where he said, oh yeah, they're now including even the people who have worked part-time jobs, that now they were able to find full-time job positions. And two, the people were also now being included in the workforce that were not before. These people that stopped looking for work are now miraculously looking for jobs. And miraculously, with those being included back in, the people who dropped out of the workforce, according to Rush and everything, I swear he said this, folks, that the unemployment rate has gone from 5 or 6% down to 4%. It's like, that is a really long, tall tale that I don't agree with. I don't even believe it. I'd love to say, hey, this is true. Yeah, Trump has actually put more people back to work. And why I'm saying that, I look around my surroundings and what is going on around me, and I don't see any of this rose-colored glasses point of view that Rush is kind of blowing. I feel like at this point, love the man, but I think he's blowing smoke up people's asses. And that's horrible for me to say. But see, like I said, I might consider myself conservative, but doesn't mean I have to agree with it all the time. The conservative points of views or what they're telling me is the truth on the news, because I think this is one thing I think he's wrong on. And I was ready to call Russia actually almost, or email him and say, it's not that I think that you're wrong with the stories, but I think the sources you're looking at may be kind of fabricating the truth, or I do kind of think that he's fabricating it just to push the agenda that Trump's doing such an incredible job. Now, I'm not saying Trump is not doing a horrible job. He is certainly not. He's doing a much better job than we've had for the past 8 years. But in the same token, I don't agree with oh, wow, all of a sudden, miraculously, our unemployment rate's down to a solid 4%. To me, I think that's a total bunch of bullcrap. So I'm going to leave that go. I was hoping Matt would call back, but he never did. So I'm sorry to say, folks, you're not going to miss out on Matt Torrance tonight, music teacher guy. So, and I won't buy your ticket until I hear back from you in text or voice or whatever. So you gotta give me some. I'm not gonna waste $25 on a ticket and then find out you should have waited for me to get. So yeah, I'll wait because that's more money in my pocket. I can pay more money on my bills too. So it's extra money I didn't expect to have, but at the same time, I'm not gonna waste it. Because I know if I buy a ticket and I waste money, that's on me. If I waste money on you, then that's on me too. So I'm not going to do it. Anyway, I did see the Spider-Man movie. I didn't like it that much. I almost can say I didn't like it at all. I'm a big Disney fan. For years, up until this recently, I loved watching the Disney shows, like the kids shows. I think they're very entertaining. But in a movie, I spend, I think this past weekend, like $24 on a ticket to IMAX theater over in King of Prussia. Yeah, I don't want to see Disney on the big screen for $24. Unless I'm buying the movie, yeah, forget it. It's a waste of money. And that's what I felt like I did. I felt like I saw a glorified edition of School of Rock, that Disney movie on screen without the music, though. But it was the same premise, or Hannah Montana on the big screen. Because that's all it was like a hour and a half Disney show with Spider-Man. Well, the kid looked like somebody from Disney. They obviously had the one chick from Disney who played the character Michelle, which I want to go into. But yeah, and they had to be politically correct, making sure that they didn't step any boundaries, and they changed certain characters. Okay, I got a text from Matt that says I'm still in the concert here. Alrighty, that's why he's not calling me back. I didn't know he was going to a concert down in Kentucky. He said he was going for music classes. Wait, let me see. One more group. Oh, okay, so he's doing his classes, I guess. I didn't know they ran this late, so. Yeah, so I guess it depends. He might call in, I don't know. Yeah, so I didn't like oh, he's texting me again. Then I will be done for the day. Okay, so unfortunately I'm mad. I'm sorry. I'm going to miss it out on you. But thank you for texting me back, Matt. But yeah, Spider-Man was just a disappointment all around because of that. But I got a little distracted, but they kind of made it more like, okay, we got to make every character politically correct. We have to make, what do you call it? I don't want to use bisexual. I'm thinking of interracial relationships with all the characters. So we got to be political. It's a fucking cartoon. Why do you have to have political correctness in a live action, not cartoon characters or comic book characters, but comic book characters put to real life? They got to make it politically correct. And that just drove me insane. I mean, people reamed Fantastic Four for doing this. And I thought that movie was actually really decent. I actually bought a Steelbox edition from Best Buy because I thought it was actually really good. I put aside my differences that, okay, hey, they made the characters, certain main characters that were Caucasian into African Americans. I didn't have a problem with that. Now, this one, they just went way too far with this whole political correctness thing to the point that it was just a little ridiculous to me. The whole Disney feel, that it felt like a Disney show made into a movie, was like, normally I don't complain, but yeah, this time I was. And then it wasn't like a standalone movie. Like Wonder Woman was a standalone movie from, what do you call it? The Justice League. It was a completely standalone movie. But this one, Spider-Man, it had Iron Man poking his head in every once in a while. That was a problem. Then they had Captain America doing little bits in there. So it was an Avengers movie with Spider-Man. And it was like, okay, this is just nonsense now. I didn't like that part. The political correctness was definitely a little bit nerve-wracking. The Avengers definitely was. The Disney feel to it was horrible. The only thing that shed light on this movie was the fact that you got Michael Keaton playing the main villain, who Michael Keaton, who did play Batman before, can play an excellent, vigilante or hero, but he can also play a super villain just as good and pull it off. So that was the only thing that was great. Was his character, was it the Hawk or something like that? I can't remember with that character. I didn't never read those comic books, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Yeah, it was just like, okay, that was cool, but they had to make sure that he was married to an African-American woman and that they had a child that was both, Caucasian and African American, and they had to fit that in the story. So everything had to be meticulously politically correct. I wouldn't have a problem, but when you alter things, and I heard the Marvel Universe, because now I heard this from people, quote unquote, that are, if you want to be, got to be politically correct about everything, these are from people that read these comics and are African Americans. They get annoyed by it. And I forget who it was, and there was a guy I worked with, he knows the comics, and I think he said the Marvel Universe has gotten so screwed up lately that they got to make everything politically correct. Yes, in the comic books as well, in the newer issues, that it's just gotten out of hand. With the transgender thing going on, the interracial relationships, political correctness with females. I mean, it's gotten way out of control in the comic book universe of Marvel, I think. So now that they're transcribing this into the movies, it's just like, okay, I've lost interest. I will stick to, like I've always had for years, to DC Universe, because at least they just do it subtly. They don't go to extremes, and that's why I do like those films. I loved Suicide Squad. I thought that was excellent. A lot of people hated it. I also really enjoyed Batman versus Superman. I thought that movie was excellent. I liked Superman much better in that one, and I thought it was a decent movie, a very decent movie. I am looking forward to buying that. Is Wonder Woman. Compared to the Marvel comic movies, I thought that was much better, those movies, the DC ones. So I'm sticking with that. And I'm actually watching, I mentioned this before, like Swamp Thing. That's a DC comic that was a TV series. I'll stick to that. I'm sticking to my guns with that stuff. So anyway, I'm actually over a little 30-some minutes, so that's not too bad. There is a character named Michelle who was played by the chick from, she used to be on a TV show, Zelda or something. I can't say her name correctly, but she was the chick who played Michelle on Spider-Man. But I looked it up. In the comics, the character Michelle, the character was Hispanic, and her name was Michelle Gonzalez. Michelle is the sister of Vin Gonzalez and Peter Parker's former roommate. So there was something in here I read that Peter Parker actually, if I read this correctly, not only was a roommate, but he put this guy in jail, which I think the character of this girl's brother was like, if you stick to the credits, I think you see her brother in jail, as the comics would have had it, portrayed it. So they do fit that character in. It says right here on one of these links, not leaks. She was that this Michelle says was Peter Parker's roommate, and has his date to the wedding of J. Jonah Jameson Sr. I don't even know any of this stuff, so I'm not going to read any further. Bottom line, Michelle does fit in. She came from the comic books. She was a character in the comic books, but they got this chick from Disney to play her character. So, origins, the younger sister of Officer Vin Gonzalez. But I read somewhere where when Peter Parker was taking down different people, like Spider-Man took down different people, one of them, which is kind of weird because I don't think they did a very good job of trying to fit it in, but they put it in after the credits that this, I believe it was this Gonzalez, this guy that got put in jail. They show that part within the credits, because there was two endings on the in the Spider-Man credits, and one of them showed this guy, and I was like, who the F is this guy? Because the main villain is put in jail. But he meets up with this other guy, and I think it was Michelle Gonzalez's brother. So, yeah. But, you'd have to be a diehard fan of Spider-Man to realize that, with the added footage at the end of the credits was from, or what it meant. And then when I read this thing, by the way, I was like, okay, this makes sense. This was Michelle Gonzalez's brother, who's now in prison and wants to get vengeance on Spider-Man if he gets out of jail or when he gets out of jail. So that was kind of interesting. I'm not doing a very good job, but generally that's a good idea, I think. So, because I don't want to say too much and then piss somebody off. Real quick, because I had this up and I forgot about it, but if you like that Mystery Science 3000, going back to that really quick, it was funny. One of the things I looked into, because I always liked those robots. I thought they're kind of cheesy looking, but they're kind of cool at the same time, because they're very plain looking. And you can tell they're basically puppets that were handmade. So if you're like a person who, like those puppets on the show, somebody actually makes perfect replicas of both those robots that you can buy. They're like literal puppets. The design is made off of the original concept design for the ones on the Mystery Science 3000. Well, this person has a storefront and their own store, I think, on... which not at the store. It was on the Etsy. But it's best you can get the same exact thing. The price is no different on eBay. And it says MST3K Tom Servo. That's what I'm looking at. But they also have the other robot as well. The Tom Servo robot puppet replica, full-size mystery. And it's really big. Because I saw some video where a guy bought one of these. And it's from Sledge _ Rip Rock. And this guy makes these custom. You can even get them fully painted and put together, or ones that you basically put together yourself. They're a little cheaper, but not that much. Oh, Crow. Crow's the other one. But this guy has a storefront both on Etsy, as I put it, and I don't know how you say it properly, and eBay. Now, the Tom Servo robot's actually cheaper. It's $275. So, yeah, Crow is like $500, I think. Because I don't have it in front of me, but the Crow one, Crow and Tom are prefer PayPal amounts, so for those robots. But these are exact replicas, and this one guy buys all this stuff. I don't know where he gets his money from, because I'm really bad, but he's even worse than I am. This one guy who put these YouTube videos up and bought both robots, fully furnished, put together. He didn't paint or anything. They were already put together. So he spent over $1,000 for both robots. So I would assume something like that. But yeah, they're still up. They're up all the time. They're coming from Michigan, because I think it's where the show originally started. That's how the guy probably got the concept design to make replicas, which I'm sure he's got to be paying a royalty right back to the Mystery Science 3000 group. So hopefully, yeah, I'm looking at the Crow. It's $450, and it's $275 for Tom Servo. But these are exact duplicates. But the only thing is, you got to have a lot of room for these fucking things. They're huge. They are really, really big. They're cool looking, but they're so humongous, because these are real 1-to-1. These aren't like small scale models. These are 1-to-1 scale models. So that makes it, not only that much more expensive, that it takes up that much more room. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I'm done with that. I'm looking at it right now, and it's playing, so I wanted to mention this. But I remember, I'm actually psyched. I do want to get the new Xbox One X, even though I don't like the name. I think it's kind of silly. But the new one is like a souped-up computer for a console. I mean, literally, everybody's been boasting about how great this thing is. So, one of the things that was mentioned at GameStop, I was there the other day, this guy was telling me, oh, yeah, the Xbox One X is liquid-cooled. It's got, because high-end people who overclock, like, their computers and shit like that, they basically use a water block on their thing so they can actually overclock the processor higher, or GPU, and keep the temperature from going like ridiculously high. So apparently in the new Xbox One X, which is super souped up, and it's going to be super slim, it's going to be slimmer than the Xbox One S, which is the Xbox One S is the Xbox One Slim. Well, the Xbox One X is going to be slimmer yet, and it's got the same kind of case design and everything else as the Xbox One X or Xbox One S. So the major difference, though, is it's much, much faster, the processor. It's going to beat Sony's pants off on performance speed all the way around with everything it's got underneath the hood. So they're even using that terminology that the case is going to look the same, but what's underneath the hood, which is really important, it's going to be totally different. It's going to be the fastest thing on the market, not only on console worlds, but it's going to actually compete against most high-end computers practically. Not quite, but it's going to be there a little bit. So the thing is, to keep this thing going, there is a thing that they use that is not, again, liquid-cooled, but it's something else. Let me see if I can find it. It's a different cooling system, which most people get confused by. I was confused by. I had it up. I'm looking for it. Highlights. No, I can't find it right now. Let me see if I can do it. It's not liquid cooled though. There's something else that they're using. Okay, here it is. I found the terminology that they use. Yeah, it's gonna come out November 7th. The Xbox One X. It's $500, which is a lot of money, but in the world of buying graphics cards and computers that are souped up, a graphics card alone nowadays, believe it or not, costs about $1,000. So, yeah, $500 is nothing compared to what you're going to pay for just a graphics card with no computer. So you got to weigh out, like, if you're a heavy gamer, which I'm not, yeah, it's not that bad. I had the terminology up, and I just lost it. Okay, the Xbox One X is not liquid-cooled in a traditional sense. When you think of something being liquid-cooled, the average person pictures an all-in-one cooler or, as enthusiast, water cooling loop, which is a water block. I've seen those. My friend has used a water block in the past. Again, this is not a water block. This is, I think it's called vapor chamber or something. So what it does is it's a special coolant that basically, I guess, it evaporates the heat off the heatsink. It's all enclosed, and then it cools off and turns into liquid again and does the whole process, but multiple times every millisecond practically. I'm trying to look for that exact terminology they use. Sorry about that. I'm itching my nose. I'm going to see if I can do it. Tom, I'm looking at Tom's hardware because he's the one who actually did an interesting article, but I'm not looking. Okay, it's vapor chamber coolant. It is called vapor chamber coolant. That technology, that vapor chamber coolant, by the way, is where 99, probably a large percentage of your cost is going, because they said in one article I read, this process or this setup to use this quote unquote this vapor chamber is god awful ridiculous. It's god awful expensive. They say that it's so expensive that they normally just don't use it because it's so expensive. So the fact that Xbox One or Microsoft is using this means a lot. For one thing, they're going to drive down the cost because they sell enough of these units. Quickly, that price is going to, dissipate, and they're going to make it much cheaper to mass produce it, because that's the problem. Right now, it's a new technology. It's better than the water block, much better, and it works more effectively. It's called what I just said, vapor cooling or whatever, and yeah, it's gonna be expensive at first, but the price will come down drastically, because that's exactly what happened when Xbox started out, and they did it at a cheaper price. Yeah, it uses vapor chamber coolant. That's what it's actually called. But the cost of 4K Blu-ray players, which they still are up there, before the Xbox One S came out, to buy a 4K Blu-ray player, one, you needed the 4K set. Two, the price was around $1,000 just for a 4K Blu-ray player. Well, thanks to the Xbox One S, the price is now is precisely, it's like $300. Now it's like actually down to like $250. So yeah, they drove down the price of what was very expensive before, and you can thank Microsoft for doing that. Years ago, Sony did the same thing with their, I think, PlayStation 2 when they put in a high-end Blu-ray player. It was their Blu-ray player, or was it their DVD player? I think, it only had a DVD player, but it used a special upscale on DVDs. So back in the day, when that first came out, it was like, wow, you can buy a better quality, better than anything on the market at a much cheaper price from Sony's console. So people like me bought the consoles just to get the upscaled quality of on our DVDs, like it upscaled your DVDs. So the benefit about a lot of these consoles is they are able to bring to the consumer who can't normally afford these high-end toys. They release this stuff at a much cheaper rate on these consoles. And now the consoles are more geared towards being, which they were for a while there, but Sony won a different direction. Xbox, Microsoft has stayed in that direction, where it's an all-around, basically, entertainment unit. Like, you can put it in your living room. You don't have to play games. You can rent movies. You can stream movies. You can watch YouTube. You can watch on your TV set. If you don't have it in your living room, like a computer, you can do everything you do on your computer on your console. And, they also gave this benefit. You can watch, regular movies at upscaled resolution that makes it look a lot better at a fraction of the cost it would cost you to buy a conventional DVD player back in the day, a Blu-ray player, or now the 4K. So the consoles have always helped the little man buy, lower end consumer like myself be able to afford this stuff. So the thing is, that also brings up the sales. Back in the day, it brought up the sales of Blu-rays. Before that, DVDs. Just recently, I noticed there was an increase in the amount of 4K movies being released thanks to Microsoft. So there's always a benefit to this stuff, and it actually brings down the price very quickly because the more people who buy this stuff means the price is going to come way down, which it did. So I just wanted to mention that. So that was really cool. Yeah, I was trying to see. There was something else I put up on a different story because I'm running out of time. I thought I was going to be able to talk to Matt, but I'm not tonight. This was kind of cool because me and my friend, when I come home from work every night, I am always complaining about these drivers with their high beams on. So I actually found some blog boards about this, by the way, where people are actually complaining about like people using their high beams more often than they ever did before. And you it's some people, it's just the way the manufacturer, what kind of lights the manufacturer puts into their cars. But then there was other people that said, no, it's like in California, it's really bad. They said, I see more people that are just so stupid. They drive constantly with their high beams on. You got to flick your lights to get them turned off. And I think that's the truth. I read some article on a blog board from New Jersey. It's definitely a truth in Pennsylvania because I know other friends who have complained. Well, one other friend who's complained about this, my friend Todd. People not using turn signals is number one. That's a big issue. My friend Todd actually found a thing up a police officer put up and said, hey, there's a new invention that they put on all new cars. And it's on the left-hand side of your steering column, and it's called a turn signal. And he literally did this on a video, this cop, and I was laughing my ass off. So anyway, but the other thing is, a major issue is the issue with high beams. So I looked this up, and it was a web link I found called yourmechanic.com, and it basically states state by state what the rules and regulations are on headlights. So I found the one from Pennsylvania since that's where I come from. And it says, quote unquote, these are the bullet points. Headlights must be in use from sunset to sunrise. Headlights must be turned on when you cannot see at least 1,000 feet ahead of you. Headlights must be used when windshield wipers are in continuous or intermittent operation, which means if it's raining, I guess, or a fog, because sometimes I use them then. High beams, it says high beams must be dimmed when approaching traffic is within 500 feet. They never turned them off. I've had people actually blind me by turning them on as I go by them for no reason at all. High beams must also be dimmed when fallen within 300 feet of another vehicle. I've had people behind me where I can see inside my car because it's all lit up. Hazards lights are required on all vehicles, like they have to be in there. And it says hazard lights must be turned on when the vehicle is disabled or traveling at the speed less than 25 miles per hour outside of business or residential districts. So if you go under 25 miles out of an hour, according to Pennsylvania state law, you're supposed to put your blinker lights on. I didn't know that. There's another story, actually, because I'm going to kind of skip around on my stories now. Oh, yeah, here it is. From the patch.com for Norristown, that it stated, this was a couple, well, it was on the 6th. What is it now? Okay, so it was only like 3 days ago, because it's the 9th. East Norton among 58 PA municipalities cracking down on aggressive drivers. This is another thing I complain about to my friend Matt, that there's a lot of idiot drivers out there. I think he complains too. So anyway, it says police will be cracking down on tailgating, running red lights, speeding, and other aggressive driving behaviors throughout East Norton, which is, I think it's Norristown. East Norton is Norristown. It says East Norton, PA authorities will conduct aggressive driving enforcement throughout the East Norton over the next several weeks, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation announced on Thursday. So this is great. And it gives you all the different townships that are abiding by this. The following Montgomery County Police Departments are participating in this enforcement: Abington, Cheltenham, Douglas Township, East Norton, Hatfield, Horsham, Limerick, Lower Gwinnett, Lower Merriam, Lower Moreland, Lower Pops Grove, Lower Providence. That's where we're from, Lower Providence, Montgomery Township, New Hanover, Plymouth Township, Pottsboro, Springfield, Tallahassee or something, Tallamasson, Upper Dublin, Upper Moreland, Maryland, and Upper Moreland, and White Marsh Township. So these are all the places that they're going to actually enforce this thing. And like I said, Lower Providence, that's my neck of the woods, literally. So anyway, hey, I forgot about this story. I'm going to throw this in real quick. Stan Lee's wife had just died. It's ironically because her name is Joan. It's not an irony. I'm saying that because my mother's name's Joan. But she died at 93, and that man is still kicking and going, so that's great. Unfortunately, his lovely wife just passed away. It's a shame, too, because Stan Lee has had an incredible life for the last, I'd say, 20 years since, Marvel has just, blossomed with their films, even though I don't like them any longer. A lot of these films. I do, I never knew who Stan Lee was. The first time I even heard the name Stan Lee was in Mallrats, Kevin Smith's Mallrats. But yeah, unfortunately, on July 6th, it said his wife had passed away. So sorry to hear that. Okay, different story. I'm just going to read these off because I'm actually going on to the next hour, and I try to keep it with under an hour, and it's not going to work. A story a friend Todd had sent to me from Channel 16 News. I don't know where that's located. Partially nude woman assaults state trooper in Lutheran County. Hunlock Township. So, yeah, that's pretty funny, actually, to me. State police say that Allison Schaefer, 32, of Shickshinny, was lying in the dirt and being unruly when they arrived at the abandoned post office in Hunlock Creek. But she apparently assaulted a nude woman, assaulted the police officers. I find that entertaining. Another story from Channel 16 News I have up. Man behind bars after largest drug bust in borough history in Schuylkill County. Schuylkill County. So I don't know exactly where Schuylkill County is, believe it or not. I just know my dad makes an insult about the water we get, which is from the Schuylkill River. And he calls it Schuylkill Punch because it's disgusting, the taste of the water from our spigots. So he calls it Schuylkill Punch. That's the closest I know. Here was an interesting story from the Patch again. It was titled from a couple days ago, 5 PA men assaulted lifeguards at Jersey Shore Beach. Police had stated 2 men tried to escape. The others were arrested on the beach, police mentioned again. So that's kind of weird. 5 Pennsylvania men were arrested after police say they assaulted on-duty lifeguards, the officer had mentioned on the 4th of July. That's kind of sad. You know, this just shows you what kind of garbage we have from Pennsylvania. They actually got the names of these guys, and I'll know I'll mess it up. Like Brenlin Roach, 26 from Harrisburg, Harold E. Kubrin, whatever, 25 from Philadelphia, Darren M. Wilhelm, 29 from Philadelphia, and this other one, Nelson, is his last name, from Harrisburg. These were the guys who had assaulted lifeguards. Like, don't you, guys, get a life. In fact, try to get a job while you're at it. The following men were charged with third-degree aggravated assault, using physical force, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. I just lock them up and throw away the key, personally. Weird story, and I didn't notice there was actually a video for it from Fox 5 News. I don't know where I found this story from, but it actually says baby's coffin found with organs without body. So there was only organs left without a body. So of a child, and they show literally the little infant casket laying in the middle on the roadside of a street. So that was pretty weird. Again, because of my shortage of time, I'm just going to have to kind of quicken this up. New York Post had a story. Everybody must have heard about this by now. Hawkins, Trump pulling out of the climate deal could turn Earth into Venus. That's the biggest. I remember Rush did talk about this, and that is total bullshit. That man, he's considered the smartest man in the world. I'm talking about Stephen Hawkins. This man has gone completely nutso. Okay, here's a story I just saw on the top of that story. I got to read this real quick. So it's an added story. New York Post again. Man's leg bit by shark while swimming in Florida. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I guess what happens is when the water gets warmer, the sharks go a little further inland, and there is more incidents, especially up this part of the coast. I'm talking about like Jersey, closer to me, that you will hear more shark attacks because they swim a little bit further inland, and they also swim further up the coast because of the warmer weather or warmer temperatures in the water. So you hear about this stuff more often. Anyway, some interesting stories because I like horror. Bloody Disgusting. Large pieces of Evil Dead 2 cabin surfaces on eBay. This was on July 5th. So I actually looked at the links. They are actually selling off the house pieces. What are you going to do with a fucking piece of a cabin? But it's no joke. They are sectioning off pieces of the cabin and selling them off. I did see them listed on eBay, and the prices are very high, obviously. I think one's $1,500. Yep. Evil Dead 2 cabin exterior. I'm looking on eBay right now. Left side upper living room. Real. $1,500. One bid so far. Well, that person doesn't have to worry about anybody else bidding against him because that's a lot of fucking money. So that was on Bloody Disgusting. And yes, you will find these pieces, no puns intended, on eBay for sale as we speak. New York Post, another story. Man hid his wife's body in freezer for years to collect her benefits, her Social Security benefits. And that was kind of interesting. That was in the New York Post. Again, my time is very short. It's past an hour, so I don't have time to go into grave detail, and I won't, so don't worry about it. I'm just going to read the headings, unless it's something that really catches my eye. Story from the Daily Mail. This was kind of very upset. I might have to go a little further. Care home worker is caught punching 89-year-old dementia patient 11 times as he changed his diaper after the man's family installed a camera when they couldn't work out why he was suffering from injuries. So they show the video of this poor old man. You know, he can't, he's got dementia, he's wearing a diaper, and he's getting beaten up by the staff members in his home. So that really scares me a lot. Like, it makes me scared of getting older because of stuff like this. It says this person who worked in his home, I can't pronounce the person's name, was arrested after video showed him attacking a patient. George's Carmen. Family of Carmen installed a camera after he suffered unexplained injuries. Footage showed this guy, it looks like Xavier or something, changing the 89-year-old dementia patient's diaper. A confused Carmen bats at this staff member twice, who responded by punching him in the face. The care worker hit Carmen 11 times and taunts him, holding a fist at his face. So that's a real shame. This poor man, I mean, he doesn't know any better. He's got dementia, and he's getting punched in the face by a staff member. It's people like that should be locked up, who torture senior citizens or people that are disabled or, have some type of disability like that. I don't appreciate that at all. I don't think that's not cool at all in my book. Lighter story, PIX 11 from New York. Joey Jaw's Chestnut wins Nathan's, who make the best fucking hot dogs. Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest for the 10th time. New York, Joey Jaw's Chestnut re-signed Supreme. He won the title again at Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest, winning his the 10th time in a row and beating his own record again. Chestnut consumed 72 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Holy crap, that's a lot of hot dogs. This past Tuesday, last year, he topped his previous record by eating 70 franks. So, and the buns. He ate the whole fucking hot dog. How do you do that? This guy is like not that heavy. He's actually really thin. And he ate 72 hot dogs in 10 minutes. I don't know how he did that. So I'm sorry. That spent more time on than it really needed. Okay, here's a story, New York Post again. I thought it was entertaining. I will not read the whole thing, but because of the time. But punk rock ISIS widow crying that she wants to come home. ISIS widow Sally Jones desperately wants to return home to the UK, but can't because leaders of the terror group won't let her go, according to the new report. Well, good luck. You're the people who are not only the tree huggers, but, are obsessed with saying that these ISIS people are so innocent and they're being mistreated and misrepresented. So there you go. Be careful what you wish for because you may just get it, lady. And you did. So that is on from the New York Post. It is on my Facebook page. That's where I pulled all these stories from because I linked these. Lighter story again because, again, it's almost like 10 after. Bloody Disgusting. John Carpenter developing Tales for Halloween Night for Sci-Fi. And it's that Sufi way of spelling it, S-Y-F-Y. I don't know why. Sounds like maybe Sci-Fi is getting more serious about horror. Universal Cable Production is just announced an overall development deal with John Carpenter, the man I did meet one time, which we will see a Horror Master exclusive producer scripted program with UCP for NBC Universal Cable Entertainment profile, as well as for external networks and streaming services, along with his producing partner, Sandy King. I'm doing a horrendous job of reading this. I apologize, but it's really cool. Bottom line is, John Carpenter might be doing an exclusive show for sci-fi. So sci-fi seems to be going to horror genre. I was going to mention something else, but I'm going to wait for just one tad second because I don't have any time left. BloodyDisgusting.com. Story on George Romero. Why horror fans should be excited about Road of the Dead. So I don't know if he's doing another film. I apologize. I don't have time to read all into these stories because of the time constraint I give myself. But if you're interested, there was an article from Bloody Disgusting horror.com. So on George Romero, it looked like it might be possibly another film. And, I don't know. George Romero's films are never that great. Sorry about that, George. I do love you, but I just don't think your films are that appealing. I like the ones that are remastered or remade by other people. Real quick, when I went and seen Spider-Man, they did show the Dark Tower, the series of books, I think they were, or series called the Dark Tower that is being made into a film. They actually showed an official trailer for the movie. That's John Carpenter, Stephen King. And speaking about Stephen King, his movie is getting very close to being released now. The movie now adapted from the book of It, the clown. So that was a big thing too. I don't think I've seen a preview for that. Interesting story, another one from Bloody Disgusting. Eli Roth produced an extreme haunt. If there were the perfect recipe for horror films to grab our attention, it would be Haunt, which is being financed and produced by Sharia Affinity. Not only does it take place on Halloween, but it takes place in an extreme haunt and is being produced by Eli Roth, who made Cabin Fever, Hostel, and Green Inferno, which I would recommend the movie Green Inferno. A lot of people shot it down as just being a remake of Cannibal Holocaust. I disagree. Yes, it carries a lot of the same similarities of Cannibal Holocaust, and the other one was similar name from back in the 70s. But personally, this movie speaking of which, Green Inferno, Green Inferno had the biggest impact. It actually grossed me out, and I actually had a laugh at the same time because he definitely put a political twist in the way I appreciate it. I don't know if he intended that, but Eli Roth put a political twist against these tree huggers, as I like to call them, and one that I actually definitely appreciate it. So, I definitely would recommend. Just have a little bit of a barf bag on the side. I would probably recommend because the movie is very gruesome, very gross. But you expect that from Eli Roth. But he does make, so to speak, real films. I like to consider them real films based upon facts, not just fiction. So that's just me. If I had more time, I'd probably say even more, but I really don't. So, what was I going to say? Oh, you know what? I'd asked Matt, but I don't think I have enough time to go see this. There's this band called Die Antwoord. They're actually, I think, from South Africa. Because South Africa is a, what do you call it? South Africa is, it is a English colony, and these people from Die Antwoord are actually are going to be in Philadelphia at where I saw Miley Cyrus years ago. Real quick on the side, this is kind of cool. I wish I could get my friend Matt to go. I don't think. Oh, actually, it's on Sunday. Exhumed Films, which I think Matt had taken me to before. They're going to present the 3D version of Friday the 13th, the 3D one. So it's International House in Philadelphia at 3701 Chestnut Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tickets, I'm going to have to ask Matt if he would take me. Oh, it's July 16th, though. Wow, I don't think I can go because the night before I'll be tired from the day before, I should say. Because I will be I'll be up in Reading, so I'll be a little exhausted. I would love to see Friday the 13th in 3D the way it was meant to be. Anyway, I got distracted, so I apologize. I lost my train of thought. I thought I did, But I fooled you. No, I didn't. Yeah, Die Antwoord I would go see, but I think that's on a Tuesday night, and I've been bleeding through all my vacation time, so I can't afford to lose any more time. But yeah, if you ever heard Die Antwoord, it's a little bit of a interesting twist on music. Very vulgar, to say the least. But they are playing at the Electric Factory. That's what I meant to look for on Tuesday, August 8th at 7:30. I don't think I really can afford to go anymore just because I don't have the time. Anyway, folks, what was I going to say? I'm like trying to finish out the show, and I will because it's like past the hour mark. And by the way, if you do look on my Facebook page, I'm looking at it right now. It was ABC News with this state trooper who posts a goof on PSA on using your turn signals for those idiots who don't use those. So, yeah, that was definitely worth the watch. I would definitely look at that. I appreciate anybody who listens to me. Hopefully, Matt, you're listening to me. But when you're down in Kentucky, get me some listening. What do you call it? Things from that neck of the woods, so to speak, in our states. So everyone, Matt, thank you for not calling, you bastard guy. Just kidding, Matt. I wish you would have called, but I'm sorry I missed you. But yeah, folks, I hope you enjoyed my show. I think I kind of did. No, I'm kidding. I did. But I enjoy doing this stuff. I continue to do it just because of that, not because I'm actually getting any type of ratings. So thank you for listening tonight. And, folks, it's Walter from iWalter saying, Matt, what's going on, yo? What's up? And everyone, have a good night. I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you continue to listen. Thanks a lot. This is Walter from iWalter, signing off for now.